Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Terrible Bangs. Now, let's see, 7 days of summer. So, in the last episode, we got up to some nice, wholesome, and very revolutionary activities. We started to actually do some useful crap. And now we're making our way to the bonfire, basically. So, let's just get started, man. They must walk around with sorrowful faces and grimace in tune. And sometimes allow themselves romantic nonsense like listening to music by earpiece for each or carrying a girl across a creek in their arms. The latter, not with your constitution, of course. You mean I can't lift her? I resented that, and as I slowed down, I picked Slavia up in my arms. Oh, holy shit! Oh, holy shit, image! Amazing! This is amazing. This is a great moment. Slavia shrieked, not expecting something like that from me. The formation broke. The pioneer stopped. We just went out the gate. It's all right, I gasped. The weight, of course, was felt, but I was quite capable of dragging the girl in my arms. She just saw a mouse. Where? Lena hid behind Miku. She ran away. The redheads whispered and chuckled quietly, throwing glances in our direction. And I brought Slavia down to earth. Good job, Semyon. That was nice. That was nice. Wholesome Chungus 100. She was smiling and all flushed. That was very unreasonable, she reprimanded me. What if you had dropped me? Not any more unreasonable than waving your arms around here. Don't you trust me? I trust you. But I'm heavy. As you can see, not heavy enough. I went further, catching up with the counselor, still clutching the girl's palm. This time it was me who walked first. And she, apparently, for a change, decided to let me take the lead. I'm not reading French. I categorically refuse the French language and its existence. The rest of the pioneers, judging by the stomping, followed us. There was no sense in walking in pairs along the paths. After all, they had been trapped on the basis of a squad moving in a single line. So it wasn't a minute before we were lined up in a single column. Need I say, I let Slavia go first. This time she was already mentally prepared for immodest stares. That's why she didn't flinch at my signs of attention. She was nervous, though, apparently almost physically feeling the attention. I was just enjoying the hike. I'd already set some landmarks for myself on our previous visit here. Holding Slavia by the elbow, I nodded at the flags we'd drawn. She nodded and, catching up with the squad leader, spoke to her about something. Olga, after listening to her arguments, thought a little. Who can guess in 3 times what was assigned to take care of this matter? A deafening groan filled my throat, itching from within. But with a cringe in my heart, I nodded. Even ostentatiously for some reason, I wanted to look better than I really was. The very dust in my eyes, I understand. Anyway, for tomorrow morning, I suddenly had something to do. God damn it. Do you need help tomorrow, or can you do it yourself? I shrugged. I wish I knew how to handle it. Let me try it first. Okay. Activist nodded. Because tomorrow's the last day before we leave, there's gonna be a lot of rushing around. What do you mean last day? Isn't it a 3-week shift? 3, but you were late, remember? Yeah, fucking dumbass. Got to the last week, so... Slavia walked beside me, looked around and covertly took my hand. A giggle came from behind me immediately and, without turning around, showed back a bulging middle finger with my free hand. I don't think they understood the meaning of your gesture. The giggle turned out to be laughter. Whoever cared. They seemed to understand quite well, though. Slavia didn't seem to notice anything. Bonfire time, baby! A few more minutes and the clearing opened up to view. I think I'm beginning to understand the logic of Slavia's actions. Because I caught myself thinking that instead of looking for a place to sit comfortably, I first glanced around the open space to see if it was littered or dirty. The logic of a man who doesn't want to go into the universe, instead stretching his backyard to its size. Otherwise, how else do you feel like a master in the vast expanse of the universe without slipping into a morally obsolete, igneous pharaoh? I don't know what that means. I don't mean this as a bad thing or a good thing. There's no way grades work here. Because every 5 or 7 years I've changed where I live, my social circle, and my surroundings. A new place, and aglonema without roots. This game is very bold in its use of complicated language when it can't even get simple. This translation, at least, when it can't even get simple conjugations right. And for some, just the whole of Russia or the USSR is home. The Fireglade felt like part of one's own home, so a mess on it could make one almost physically uncomfortable. Like most of the places we visited together. That's probably also why I didn't turn down Olga Dmitrievna's appointment. Because if there's something wrong somewhere in your house, you have to go and make it right. He's become such a responsible young man. I'm so proud of him. The ranks mingled, the pioneers settled on logs, according to the chain of command, or simply in circles, and Slavia, with a nod to me, went to the fire pit, where the wood was already waiting to be stacked in a log cabin. Still, there was something about all that pioneering and camping, something that their ideological heirs, the children's recreation, sports, and labor rest camps, had lost. Because it's no problem to take kids' phones away for the rest of the shift, keyed into a safe, or not handing out Wi-Fi left and right by putting up "no internet, talk to each other" signs everywhere. But it's still not enough. It is necessary to boil in this cauldron from birth, to develop the mentality of a Soviet man who understands that people are not perfect, but the prejudice puts trust in positivity. I covered my eyes, remembering my last bonfire that was already in the SRC. Went about the same scenario. But the difference is that here, the pioneers were brought in, seated, and then they entertained themselves, enjoying both the evening and the busy campfire. Slavia lit it with one match without using kindling. The same kids, I remember, also came to socialize and have an experience as a result, but before that there had been half an hour of sepulchral silence, caprice, attempts at rebellion, and the like. And that's not bad, all in all, because these same kids had reacted much more positively to the hike. Although they whined that the backpack was heavy, the shoes were uncomfortable, and that they were tired. But then there was Lake Beauty, potatoes with picked mushrooms on a griddle right from the fire, and sitting well past midnight until the edge of the eastern sky touched the light crimson. For the older ones, understandably, there was also their own bit of romance in the form of lemon moonshine and obscene guitar songs, with a quite logical continuation through the tents. The kids teased afterward over salted soup, cook and love. Yeah, that happened. If I'd been here before, I probably wouldn't have been able to avoid something like this either. Except without the liquor. Not a fact, though. Mika pulled the guitar out of nowhere and twirled the picks, turning it. The redheads were seated next to her, and judging by the mischievous expression on Uliana's face, they were already up to something. What could they be up to, though? Either a slate in the fire or a smokestack in there, too. It took Electronica a long time to get away from the librarian, who had put in a lot of effort before she was able to get rid of the boar. Then, showing a high degree of busyness, she talked to Lena about something. Shurik, whom I hadn't seen all day, felt my gaze, raised his head, and nodded, then immediately returned to his notebook, in which he was either writing or drawing something. After wrinkling his head a little, Electronic stepped back to it. Olga had been led away earlier by Sanich, who had winked at me. The whole posse was in their place. Resting? I finished with the fire. Slavia sat down next to me. Yes, I answered unilaterally. After hesitating a bit, she clarified. Do you mind my company? You don't have to ask. Just if I'm in the way. Nah, we're a dilly don't now, after all. Stop laughing about it. She never seemed to figure out how to behave properly in my presence. As long as she was oblivious, relaxed, and behaving normally, it was great and easy. A girl with a talent for picking up keys to hearts, she was disposable from the first minute. But the moment she resembled that it's complicated with us, and she would begin to behave unnaturally. Just like now. Lena probably could say, you're in the way. She's full of complex as a tactful L, who was a dullard when it came to talking about Jinka. But not Slavia. Enough is enough, I nodded compliantly, covering her fingers with my palm. She twitched, but she realized I wasn't going to let anything extra happen, and she smiled. I felt someone's eyes on me, and I turned around sharply. Lena. See, the thing with Lena is, there is a point to be made that she makes everyone else's business her personal problem. She stood looking at us intently. Realizing she was discovered, the girl blushed, pressed her palms to her cheeks, and turned away. Watch out for redheads, they obviously have some kind of show on their mind. I know. How? Is she gonna show the world the wonders of physiognomy now, too? And they always have some kind of mischief on their mind. Every time we go camping, they come up with something. And you're so calm about it. What else is there to do with them? She shrugged her shoulders serenely. We can't deprive them of a hike for something they haven't done or only want to do. All that's left to do is to be vigilant and to try to prevent mischief. Such an approach to the matter aroused quite a healthy skepticism. So, have you ever managed to prevent it? No, Disconcertingly honestly answered Savia. But I'm not discouraged. If I can prevent a prank at least once, then it's not all in vain. Have you tried unzipping their pockets? How can you do that? They haven't done anything. Savia resented. Wait a minute. There was some shouting on the other fucking hell, I forgot to read. There was some shouting on the other side of the clearing, and Savia hurried over there. Olga Dmitrievna had been heading our way, and also changed her trajectory and went to the other side of the fire. I looked around again at those present, and after thinking for a while, quite logically assumed that the redheads had probably already begun to act. Now we'll see how effective the preventive measures are. I thought about getting up and seeing what was going on, but the wind carried a short chuckle from the nearest bushes, and I hurried over there. My intuition didn't let me down. Apparently, Elisa was to organize a noisy distraction while Liliana engaged in the actual execution of the plot. and what the plot was, it became clear almost at a glance. This is from the Uliana route in the first game. Also, who are these people? Because among the treasures neatly laid out on the ground, everything exploded, smoked, or soiled in one way or another. From the looks of it, they had been preparing thoroughly and for a long time, those terrorists. And the highlight of the program was to be a piece of slate, which Ulyanka was about to throw into the fire with a slingshot. Don't you dare, I rushed to her. But what could I do? The tourniquet unraveled with a quiet hiss, sending a piece of the shingle straight into the fire. A little off the program, but who's relieved by that? I didn't have time to finish because the fire gave the right temperature and the crime weapon went off. Kablamo. The bang was loud enough to make everyone jump from their seats. After showing me the tongue, Ulyanka put the slingshot in her pocket and ran away. The camp rumbled. It's not nice to be meditating on a fire when it suddenly explodes, so they all freaked out. It's pretty easy to go gray from that, huh? Perhaps it was only the fact that the pioneers instilled with respect for adults and elders that kept Elisa from being lynched on the spot. For some reason, everyone immediately thought of her. Amazing, isn't it? But as the minutes ticked by, the clenched fist unclenched, the anger fright vanished, and the friendly laughter of the pioneers rang out more and more, who appreciated how frightened they'd been. People turned out to be too lenient. They could have knocked him in the butt a couple times for a scolding. Elisa was well aware of that and didn't even argue, sitting quietly on the log, peering around her. She met my gaze and turned away. Voice crack. Oh boy. The pioneers were calming down, only the familiar curly-haired kid kept shouting something. Reacting belatedly, the counselor called for the nurse, who was supposed to accompany us on the psych according to the rules. Viola came over and, judging by the pioneer's flushed ears, told him to undress. That's right, what else would you expect from our comrade educator? After scattering the confiscated scraps in my pockets, I came out of the bushes and approached Viola. The burn is superficial, the incision is shallow. I applied ointment, but it's better not to disturb the leg, otherwise it may bleed. A piece of slate? Viola nodded. So ask your comrades to take you to camp. Hey, who the heck is this guy? Holy shit, new character alert. Everybody clap for Danya. Oh, brother. Crap, I gotta make a new voice now. It's fine. He's probably not gonna exist for very long, so I can just fucking... Or, if you feel strong, jump on one leg. Can you make it to camp that way? After estimating his strength, Curly shook his head. Maybe we should get Boris Alexandrovich involved. He's strong. He'll carry the pioneer away. I'd love to, but I'm afraid Boris Alexandrovich won't be able to help us. What the fuck was that? Why not? Because he has rescued himself for the duration of the bonfire. His presence here is not necessary, unlike mine. She nodded and walked back to Olga, talking to her about something. Oh well, I sighed. Okay, get on my back, I said, since I'm big and heavy today. Curly looked at me doubtfully and shook his head. Fine, I shrugged. Then walk, or rather jump on foot. After thinking and sighing for a while, the pioneer took me up on my offer. He had any choice. You seem to be working as a loader today. I rolled my eyes and said nothing. The blonde's attempts at humor were hilarious to me, but nothing more. They let us go back only on Slavia's word of honor that nothing would happen to us or anything. And I'm pretty sure a lot is going to happen to us, actually. Viola didn't even promise. It seemed to amuse her to throw people into conditions totally hostile to them and watch the person swim out. And this despite the fact that she was walking with us. We lined up single line. Slavia was in the vanguard with a lantern. After the first small hole, she turned on the lantern and devoted herself entirely to following the road. That music inspires confidence. Because who cares about the mole hole? But what if there's another hole to the bottom layers again? Semyon, when we get to camp, I'll be gone for half an hour, okay? I nodded. Angel wants to do something lowly, take a bath or something. And then? And then we'll see. Pioneer girl, watch the road, please. I don't want the Pioneer to break his leg. Because you and I won't carry both Pioneers. Imagine Viola carrying me in her arms. I couldn't stand it and giggled. Look at him. He liked the idea. Violetta snorted and doubled her guard. Savia followed her example, and the Pioneer was pretty heavy. It suddenly occurred to me that I never asked his name. Hey, what's your name? I threw at him. What? What's your name? Daniel. Danya. Tell me, Danya, yesterday didn't you, by any chance, put a button on the chair for the counselor? The answer to me was eloquent silence. Isn't that what's happening now? That I'm saving Ulyanka in pants? An unsolicited thought appeared in my mind. But isn't even Uliana's life, health, and health priceless? I don't know. Now you're dragging him, and tomorrow he'll do you a disservice, not out of spite, but simply out of a prankster nature. And by the way, if I were you, I'd get your back checked when you take him down to the infirmary. Check for what? The inner voice chuckled and went silent, and I didn't understand anything. That's my motto. In the meantime, we'd already reached the camp gate. Danya on my back went limp, and he appeared to be motion sick. Semyon, how are you feeling? Savia took out a handkerchief and blotted my forehead. Dragging heavy Pioneers was a rather tedious task after all. Why don't you take a break? I've walked all the way through the woods, and it's 300 meters to the infirmary. Suit yourself. She patted me on the shoulder and stood beside me. I'll leave on the square like we agreed. I nodded. Here, guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back, tell a friend. And 5 minutes later, having unloaded the Pioneer in the isolation room, I went out to the infirmary. Pioneer, you helped me a lot today. Violetta languidly stretched out. I could hardly have done it without you. Her robe rattled dangerously on her chest, and the top button, the third already, by the way, came undone as if by itself. Something bad's gonna happen. Bad shit's about to happen. That's why I wanted to thank you. Oh, no, yeah, I'm good. No need to thank me. I'm good. I'm good, lady. I'm fine. It's fine. You know, I do it. I don't even do it for the thanks. It's just for the love of the game, I swear. I promise. I promise. She came closer to me. Properly. Her tongue had already habitually made me get goosebumps and blush. My attitude towards Viola was something akin to the respectful apprehension one feels for a suddenly uncaged, well-fed predator of the feline family. I mean, right now she might rattle you and knock you down by poking you in the stomach with her forehead, but if she gets hungry or pissed off, then... okay, it's best not to think about that. Although I'm sure if we chat a little longer, I'll be sure to develop the correct modus operandi. I will understandably never develop immunity to the charm of a vamp woman, if only because I will never stop viewing her as an extremely attractive person. But at least it'll stop getting lost like a fifth grader at a physical exam. Although she's a little old for a Pioneer, she's really quite my age. I wonder if she should behave the same if I were in my old guise. A look of bewilderment flashed in her multicolored eyes, and I realized I'd gone off the deep end somewhat untimely. So you don't think, she tried again, letting the hoarseness into her voice, that I don't know how to be grateful? I don't, protested me. Wait. I froze. She reached for the right drawer. I stopped breathing. Then, apparently regaining her senses, she laughed, slapped her forehead, went to the side of the table, where there was a single drawer, and drew from there a bottle of dark glass. Unfortunately, the girl has nothing to thank the brave young man with, she murmured. How about a girl's honor? How about you shut up, huh? How about that? So I can offer you this. Alcohol! Yippee! I tore my gaze away from her cleavage and switched to the present. It turned out to be a bottle of Ostankinskaya. That was there last time, too. Uh-huh. Pardon my modest question, where did you get it? I have my free time, too. Viola smiled. When you don't come in. But since we have strict rules here, and anyway, if you accept the gift, consume it here. Because you know, the Pioneer, on the campgrounds, with beer, emergency. Of course, it's not such an emergency as a Pioneer with hawthorn tincture. How do you know? And while I was slowing down, it was all decided for me again. Slavia walked into the infirmary. Amazing. Her hair was dry. Apparently she hadn't gone to the water yet. I never thought I'd say this, but now she was extremely, extremely inappropriate. Cringing from the cold between my shoulder blades, I folded my arms behind my back and made an attempt to fall through the ground. Bye-bye! But something narrow, hard, was pressed against my back. It was Miss Collider staring thoughtfully at something on the ceiling, forcing me to stand still. She'd already taken her beer somewhere. You can't drink away the talent. Are you an electro-sensor or something? I siphoned, and without too much affectation, launched with a push forward, took a step towards Savia. You haven't... I couldn't think of anything smarter than to ask the obvious. Like on an airplane, an attempt to get acquainted. Excuse me, are you also going to Egypt? Maybe also to Sharm el-Sheikh? Given that the goal is always a desire to get into the rooms, isn't it easier to ask substantively right way? No shit, Sherlock. Not yet. A few words with you. She went outside and I wandered doomfully after her. Okay, what does she want? A little more, and Savi's faith in me and in humanity as a whole might have been shaken. It's gathering outside again in what I call St. Petersburg rain, when there's just a kind of watery suspension in the air available to all winds, spinning on gravity and the airtightness of clothing. The clouds squeezed out by it had long since scattered by the wind. There was a scorpion or some other exotic critter scowling above. I've never been into astronomy, but the sky was unfamiliar. Shall we sit down? Savi took something off my back and crumpled it up and threw it in the trash can. The rain didn't seem to bother her at all. After brushing off the lumps and debris... Oh, right. Daniel must have put that there. She sat down herself, patting it invitedly beside her. It smelled damp, pine trees, and rolling toward midnight. A magical time, the daily anticipation of holiday. Viola was muttering about something, flickering the buttons on her microshi. The snoring of the crippled Daniechka came from the window and in the isolation ward, and soft conversations could be heard from somewhere on the side of the cabins. The camp grew weary and trampled the ground, making itself comfortable for the night. And tomorrow is a royal night, and you'll have to close the doors tightly or stay awake so you don't wake up with toothpaste on your face. They have powder here. Well, redheads will think of something. Good old tank keys and falling ceiling, for example. I was thinking of going for a swim in the lake. I nodded. We went quiet. Boring. And I hardly feel bored. And she smiled and put her head on my shoulder. It's been a busy day. Like you always have. Transition time. Oh, nice. More pictures. Yay, more pictures. This game has... No, you know what this game is? About the same amount of pictures as the first game. The pictures are just in different times. Possibly because it's a different story. Who would have thought? Also true. You're not pouting at me for the campfire scene? I don't think so. Not at all. The reaction was amusing. It's true what they say. Boys think about this several times a minute. They're lying. I knew it. There's far more than several times. A lot more than that. With my arms around her shoulders, I pulled her a little closer to me. Luckily, I'm not. Oh? Yes. I'm a unicum. And what does that manifest itself in? Someday, I'll be sure to tell you. So? I got hit on my naughty hands. It didn't hurt, but it made sense. You didn't have to get under my shirt. You almost had me believing you weren't like that. But I am! And you want me to believe that? Or do your hands work apart from your mind? They do. I took another shot and got my hands on it again. We could get caught by the nurse at any moment. Or the squad leader looking for her best pioneer girl. And here we are, groping. And that doesn't embarrass you? Honestly, it just makes me even more excited. Actually, of course, there's something about it. The old story of the princess and the bully. And you're the bully? No. I'm the storyteller. And me? And you're the prompter in the orchestra pit. I don't think I've been drinking. You've got a script and you're showing your fist to the mediocrity on stage. Then who are our princess and bully? She smiled. I thought for a while and suggested. 2 candidates, Electronic and Genia. 1. Savia bent her finger diligently. Sanich and Dmitrievna. Sanich and Dmitrievna, they seem to be on a roll. That's a pass. They have a purely business relationship. I twitched my free shoulder incredulously, but said nothing. Yeah. Syomushka, is your head always such a mess? I'm listening to you, and I can feel myself getting pulled deeper and deeper into some kind of maelstrom. Like today? In the dungeon? She nodded softly. Only this time, no brave pioneer lies down with his back to the mire, so I can get to the other side without getting my feet wet. I noted to myself that, for a pioneer, the girl's speech was a little too literary. And you live in it all the time. I couldn't do that. Where are you moving your hand? Put it back. You'd think you'd have everything in place. I obediently put my hand back on her waist. Well, as well as I understood the word waste. Viola was enthusiastically painting the playing fields with squares. The shepherd was floating over the camp, and life was plain and simple. Except that somewhere in the far corner of our big house, there's some damn thing going on. You're doing it again, aren't you? Saviana said quietly. Can't you sit still? What's so exciting about touching a girl's memory glands? She took my palm off, which was really high up. A new piece of patch on my heart. More like libido. She stroked my head, which she still held. I'm taking a bath, and I suggest you take a cold shower. Yeah, chlad and touche. After laughing, she left. Well, I went back to the infirmary, something that required my decision. I had to spend some time getting myself cleaned up, getting myself under control, of course. It's not like Viola's gonna get it wrong. If anything, she's the one who'll get it right. But the consequences... After smearing the drizzle on my face and cheering up a little, I went to the infirmary. Here was just as I left it. Viola at the EGA monitor screen, painting the field already 3/4 full, and figuring out how to cut one frantically beating square from the other. Genda's portrait was back on the cabinet. Ordinary days. For some, it is commonplace to live in a warm orange holiday. One can be jealous, of course, but someone has to work beyond the Arctic Circle, too, and breathe crap in Norilsk. Take watches for half a year at the lighthouses. The last job was my dream for the last 5 years, I guess. Too bad I'm not a meteorologist. A pioneer, you're not hopeless. Viola grinned without turning around. You've got something between your ears, if you know what's good for you, squeezing a pioneer girl in your state. What do you want from me? Who are you, anyway? Do you want to see my documents? Show something else. I brushed it off. To somebody else. No can do. Viola replied seriously. Immoral behavior, pioneer molestation. Who better than you after morning escapades and lunch lecture could understand it? Well, don't pout, she smiled. The quad she controlled took another 10% and she cheered up. How old are you again? 17. The clause was Freudian, but my mind was on something else. Very interesting, yeah. You know, so far it seems like every fucking adult in this place knows what's up. Oh man, you obey the same mechanisms. I'll sit next to you, and it'll shake you like it did 10 years ago. She held out her narrow palm and beckoned me to come closer. I obeyed. Closer. One more step. Pioneer. From that distance you could already smell patchouli and some kind of moisturizer. And both were wisely mixed. Some of my acquaintances use perfume like to pour 3 liters on their heads, and you can't stand next to them. She put her index and middle fingers between the buttons on my shirt. Her pads were dry and hot. You're like a heron, frozen on your left leg and standing. Overcoming my feeble resistance, Viola pulled me closer to her so I was practically touching her. I see the beer is familiar to you, but the fact that you haven't asked about it until now is also suggestive. Do you think you can live up to the high honor of a young man of Fjoktistovas for long? I shrugged. I'll try. Then try. She turned away from the monitor completely. Go on. She's waiting for you. This is very important to her. She opened the bottle and placed it beside her. Good night. Quietly shutting the door, I went out. And away we go, I suppose. Slavia visited me at the very end, so by the time I was kicked out of Cernovna's light, someone was already watching his first stream. But of course, not Slavia. She, as an activist, a beauty, and in general a wonderful girl, was guaranteed some kind of indulgence. And accordingly, I'm a bit of a stickler too. It's always nice to bask in someone else's reflected rays, the full effect of being there without the side effects of publicity and dozens of prying noses in your dirty laundry. It cost me a lot of trouble just to find this place. How was she walking alone in the woods? It occurred to me. Isn't she afraid of anything at all? Because the squeaks and screeching of nocturnal inhabitants almost made me go grey on the way. Though it would have seemed simpler to follow the instructions on a piece of paper pinned to the very bench where we'd been squeezing for half an hour earlier. Before you leave the camp, after the gate to the right, follow the path to the entrance in the forest, along the fence, walk for 300 meters, and from the gate to the music club, turn left again. You'll come on the patch and go straight ahead without turning anywhere. Beaded handwriting, letter to letter, a 3% smartphone charges, a cheat sheet light, and a soul firmly nested in my heels. The price of having a chat with Slavia with no witnesses. When I emerged from the woods, the moon had already climbed into the sky, streaking a silver path from that shore right under my feet. I love Forest Maiden. It's the best fucking song in the whole game. You came after all. I turned around. Slavia was standing by the old bridges, trim, bathed in moonlight, and possibly beautiful. You'd think I had a choice. There's always a choice, quietly she said. And what choice did I have? It's not like anyone dragged you here by the hand. You could very well have been out midnight with Viola, beer, and computer games. You noticed it after all. Yeah, somehow, you know. Yeah? I thought you'd be sad without me. Is that all? Calm down. I've been swimming alone all my life at night, and I'm not the least bit sad. And I thought I'd be sad without you. I continued as if she hadn't interrupted me. She never wore a tie from the moment we fenced the pit, and I was in a disheveled state, too. It's strange that the counselor didn't reprimand her, and then everyone was out of it. Word is out. You're going for a swim? I don't really have anything for swimming. After I got back from the fire pit, I changed my swimming trunks, so... That's okay. Slavia shrugged. Neither do I. Hey, it's that image from the first game again! You know what, I was wondering if that would appear once again. I just kind of resigned myself to the fact that we just get new images instead of the old ones. So yeah, I guess. Also, the handkerchief is there. That's a mistake. Boy, I hope somebody got fired for that blunder. The way she unbuttoned her shirt could be in all the textbooks on how to seduce a man who doesn't want it. I only came to my senses when she was wearing nothing at all, and a laughing laugh spread in all directions over the standing water. Well, what are you standing there for? Get undressed. Together at night in the woods by the lake. There was something even romantic about it. Slavia was pushing me towards something. At the same time, she slapped my hands and successfully fought off all my advances. Apparently, she wanted something else. And what was that? Oh my god, new image! Should I have that censored? I think I might have that censored. Yeah, okay, I will. I'm responsible. I'm a responsible motherfucker. And yet it would be great to get a hold on the commissar's body. And she's also brave, active, needed everywhere, important, and I've got her here in my own way, in my arms, to my chest. You can have her right there in the water. And no difficulties. Incomprehensible creatures, dungeons, fog, and security systems of prohibitive level of technology, even by the standards of the 21st century. The biggest difficulty here was me. Couldn't bring myself to accept the offer, an outstretched hand, in fact. Why? Because I'm a fool. The biggest idiot in the world. You don't want to, do you? She broke off laughing. It's not that. I thought we had trust. Look, it's not fair to say that. Is it fair to leave a girl alone in the water? Her unpretentious banter helped with the paralysis. I threw off my clothes, leaving me in just my boxers with the bears. Transition time! Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to censor that. Come on! She splashed water in my direction. Don't be so afraid, I won't eat you. I might even turn away. She did turn away, allowing me to get rid of any remaining protection. Nude bathing. Nude as family my ass. Not that I insist on the obligatory bathing suit, but with all the views. The neighborhood was exciting. The water was so warm after the heat of the day following the rain that I could hardly feel it around me. Like steamed milk, came suddenly to mind. I swam up to Slavia and froze beside her, making only small movements to keep to the surface. She intercepted my gaze across the water to somewhere deeper below the surface and laughed resoundingly. There wasn't much to see, unfortunately. Semyon, how do you manage to think about anything else at all if you have so many thoughts on this subject? Aren't you at all shy? What's there to be embarrassed about? This is how we are born, this is how we sleep, this is how we let a new person into our lives. It's a rare moment when man and nature think alike. I've heard something to the effects that nudists can sense surroundings not only with their usual 5 sentences, but also... Nudists? They like to swim and sunbathe in the nude, I answered. That's right, I can feel you all the time, no matter where you are. And with no clothes on, I can pick up your desires. Her smile was maddening. You always have the same wish, though. I wonder how it will end, if it's granted. She swam closer, even closer. I'm afraid it just can't be fulfilled. It's like a hunger, an urgent need that can only be satisfied for a while. And then again, she opened her eyes. And again, there were a few centimeters between our bodies. If we were on the beach, I could probably feel her warmth by now. But here all we had to do was to be satisfied with our sense of smell. And of course, touch. Because I couldn't resist again. And you know what? On that highly erotic note, I think I'm going to leave today's episode for everyone's mental sanity, not least of whom mine. So yeah, Thank you for watching today's episode of 7 Days of Summer, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.